Hello, this is Father Nicholas. Welcome to Formation Matters. And today I would like to speak about understanding pride. Now, when we're looking at pride, first we have to understand what this is. And really, it's an attachment to our superiority when we think that we're better than others. Now, our initial reaction might be, well, I don't think that. But if we look a little bit deeper, we might find out a few interesting things about ourselves. So, pride we can see as looking for our value in our own creations, in ourselves, in trusting in ourselves more than in anything else. And in spiritual life, this is obviously a problem because there's a lack of trust in God when there's too much trust in ourselves. And so there's this idea of superiority and this idea of thinking, well, I have to look out for number one. And so many of the messages that we receive in our society really enforce that idea, that concept of pride. And they trap us in this way of looking at ourselves and looking at the world. So it's not a good thing. And it's something that we have to understand and come to grips with. Because, the bad news is we all suffer from pride. It's one of the root sins, one of the capital sins, and something that so many of us struggle with every single day. Now, one of the things about pride is that there's a justification through work, right? There's an idea of the more I do, the more I create, the more I get done. Well, that's what gives worth to who I am. I'm trying to complete my own projects. I'm trying to get ahead in the world. And this is all coming from pride. And it really ends up, kind of destroying our stomachs and destroying our heart because there's so much focus on ourselves. And that's not the way that we're created. That's not who we are meant to be. Where does this come from? Well, we can look even at Genesis 3:5, the first temptation in the history of humanity. We see how the serpent, the devil in the form of a serpent, tells Eve, you will be like God. That's the motivation for eating the fruit. And that's something that each one of us really feels that tendency, that pulling that we want to be like God. But not in the true and worthy sense, that'll come later in the letters of St. John, but in this egotistical sense, this selfish sense of thinking that I want to rule over myself and over others and be absolute. And this is something that none of us can do. This is something that none of us can achieve because no one of us is an absolute. We all are dependent on God. And that's really the remedy to the sin of pride. When we recognize that God is our good Father and we depend on Him. And then all of a sudden, so many of these false castles in the air that we've built for ourselves come crumbling down. And we're able to recognize ourselves as children in the hands of a loving God. I hope this is helpful for you. God bless. Have a great day.